So I'm going to point out a few things. Just looking at the setup, I think your arms are a little too far forward like this. So let me just compare you really quick. Here's Rory McIlroy also hitting a driver. And you'll see that, the arms with a driver are supposed to be a little bit forward, but they're not nearly as forward as yours. Like he still has this kind of angle where yours is almost like a straight line going up from the club to your shoulder. So I think if you dropped your arms a little more down, it would help the club feel more like you're hitting an iron and less like this really stretched out thing. Another thing is that if you bring your arm straight down, it might be a little crowded right here. And I think it looks like your center of gravity is a little forward, like you're like on your toes almost. And it might help to have a little more like your butt a little more back and have a little more spine angle, and that way the arms can hang down. Like everything right now seems very like forward like this, and you want a little more like, like, like let me go back to Rory. You see the spine angle on his? See how he's got a way more forward tilt than you? You're more upright. Now you don't have to be exactly like him or like any pro, but I think in general your setup is very like this stretched, and you should just try to be a little more like, back, arms. I mean, it's hard to draw, but you get the idea. So that would be first. The second thing is on the takeaway. At this point, which is what's called the club parallel position, when the club is parallel to the ground, you see this elbow is starting to bend a lot. Usually at this position, you want to have that arm straight or just barely starting to bend. And what it'll do is, right now your swing seems a little kind of tight to your body. It's kind of like a very, some people would say shallow versus deep or wide versus narrow. I mean, there's lots of terminology, but it comes up like very like close to your body. And it feels very like scrunched up. Like right here, you just kind of feel, everything kind of just feels a little scrunched up there. It's not very extended. So again, let me compare. I'm just going to keep going back to Rory because I have a video of him hitting a driver and I just want to do an apples to apples. But you'll see this with irons and everything else. So you see at this point in the swing, let me get yours in the same position. You can see how much more like wrist you have pointing the club this way, and how much your elbow is breaking, and how much straighter his are. See, he's got like that triangle. If you see him from the front, you see that. His wrists aren't as bent, his elbow's not as bent. I mean, eventually, yes, the elbow has to bend. Let me delete these lines here. Okay. Eventually, yes, this elbow has to bend, of course, and the wrists have to bend too. But he's just doing it a little bit later. Some people do it too soon, some people don't do it too late. Yours is too soon. You're just kind of breaking your wrists and your elbows a little too soon. So I would be a little bit wider, and that'll completely change how things look up here. I mean, if you're more straight there, at this point your swing will look different too. In general, you want this arm, which you're keeping pretty straight, which is good. You want it covering this shoulder, this right shoulder. Yours is like a little low, but again, that might just be because of the way you're doing the backswing. Like this elbow here is a little kind of scrunched. Maybe you want a little more like up. But if you make changes in your setup and you make changes to this takeaway, the rest of the swing is just naturally going to look different. So I would kind of do that first and then video yourself and then see where it goes from there. Those are the two big things I would work on.